I want to
Good
stay
evening,
here.
and welcome to
Hey.
the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Art Chat Daddy Sims, and I have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. It is Thursday, June 4th, 2020, and boy, it's a beautiful day here in the Chicagoland area. As you guys all know, we are now in phase three of slowly opening back up. I was out earlier today, and traffic has definitely picked up. People are out moving about. Most of the places that I went to today, people did have on their masks, so I was very excited about that. Some places are still experiencing lines for things like groceries and, picking up things from services. But other than that, a great day. Want to remind everyone to still be very safe. Don't forget, it's all about social distancing. It's all about wearing your mask. It's all about just coming together to help each other in a time like this. So tonight is Relationship Thursday, one of my favorite days of the week. And because our news has been so heavy lately, I thought we would kind of relax and have some fun tonight. You guys may want to grab a beverage of choice. I'm going to have some wonderful red wine this evening since it's my Friday. We have a wonderful co-host tonight. She's been here with us before as a relationship expert. She's back tonight to serve as our co-host. She is known as the ultimate passionator. She's the principal passionator. She is Eden Adele, book author, all-around great woman, and simply fabulous. How are you, Eden?
Hi, Art. I'm back. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well, Eden. You look so beautiful this evening. And
Thank
the
you,
one
honey.
beautiful thing, oh, my pleasure. You sound great too. The one thing that I'll say is that I'm loving having co-hosts that are from other parts of the country so that we're able to talk
Yeah.
about what is going on in the cities where my co-hosts are. So you're in a
Yeah.
suburb outside of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And
Yeah.
so, how's
It
everything down there? I kind of want to talk about what has the climate been down there with COVID, and what has the climate been since the murder of George Floyd?
well, COVID is getting worse here. Kate, we had an increase this week that is a record increase for 1 week. So in that respect, it's not looking good. There have been 424 new cases and 6 deaths as a result. So, and that's just in 1 week. So
Wow.
the spike is real. The spike is
Okay.
very real. And
Uh huh.
even though, there was all this stuff circulating about the virus not doing well in heat, and it was supposed to get better over the summer when the temperatures got higher. Well, here the temperatures are really high. It's 95 as I'm talking to you right now.
So
So
wait,
people
it's
are definitely
95.
out and about. It's 95 degrees as I am speaking to you right now.
Wow, that's
It's
hot.
not a rumor. It's right
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
So yeah, it's real. It's very real. And people just have to still be mindful because we're in phase three here too. Just like
Right.
you guys. We're in the phase three of reopening. So, you're starting to see traffic build up and pick up. When we go out to stores and other public places, the crowds are almost normal. Even at the bingo hall, honey, the bingo parking lot was packed. Do you hear
Really?
me? Bingo.
Mm-hmm.
They, folks are serious about their entertainment. They are going to get whatever it is that floats their boats, makes them feel better, helps them cope with this crisis. And clearly for a whole lot of people, it's bingo because that parking lot was fully loaded
Wow.
today. So
Wow.
there's no
Good
social
grief.
distancing. Ain't no social distancing going on in no bingo hall. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. Yes.
people, And then you layer the protests on top of that, which is just a whole different level of drama and trauma and pain and chaos. It's just chaos, especially in Dallas proper, in the city and near the courthouse. Forget about it. That's where all the news is being made, really, is closest to the courthouse. And it's sort of simmering now that they've had George Floyd's memorial service. May he rest in peace. It's simmered down a little bit, but not a whole lot, because the meaning of the protest has extended beyond just George, and they're doing a lot more conversing about just the overall police brutality and overall no accountability, and just as a principle, and not as much about George. George was the flashpoint that pretty much set it all off. But yeah, it's about a much bigger conversation than just George. So while they're still advocating for justice in that case, and there has been some progress, the charges get increased and all 4 officers have been charged now. There's some progress on that front, but people are still upset because the progress is so slow. And so there's always something to be upset about and something to press over. But it's important that we draw a difference between protesting and rioting. And the protesters are a whole different group of people from the rioters. They are not the same. The protesters aren't the ones who are looting and stealing and destroying businesses and property. Those aren't the protesters. That's just not happening with the protesters. Those are the rioters. And a lot of those rioters are actually paid to come in from other places. They don't even live in that area. They're paid to come in from other places and destroy this property, because there are a lot of businesses, obviously, that have been closed since this whole quarantine thing. And yeah, they're all insured. So I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, I want to give everybody the daily news updates. Thank you, Eden. I'll be back with you in just a second. Today in the state of Illinois, we saw 929 new cases of coronavirus. 116 additional deaths happened since yesterday. The known statewide case count now is at 124,759. The death toll in Illinois now stands at 5,736. All but one county has seen a confirmed case. Out of all the counties in Illinois, only one has not seen a confirmed case. I want to thank everybody who was a part of our wonderful town hall roundtable discussion last night. I did a special 2-hour entitled A Black Man in America. What is it like being a Black man in America? And last night, I hope you guys enjoyed it. We got a lot of great feedback from the conversation. If you did not see last night's conversation, I highly recommend that you please go to YouTube or the Facebook page associated to The Real Chat Daddy Show. Again, that's The Real Chat Daddy Show. You will be able to see the encore performance of last night's discussion. And I want to thank all of the amazing gentlemen. I consider them all my brothers who were on with me last night to talk about the plight of the Black man and how police brutality has been something that we've always had to deal with, how we've been discriminated in so many different ways, but yet we've risen each and every time to be dynamic men in the world in which we live in. And so I can hear you, my dear. Can you hear me?
Hear me?
Wait, hold on. Wait, I'll bring you in. Hold on. Can you hear me? Wait, I done muted your mic. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm reloading my page again.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna continue with the show. All right. So as I was saying before, last night's conversation was just powerful in many different ways, and it's a conversation that really needs to come to the forefront of a lot of different situations, from housing to employment to just civil rights issues that we have faced for a long time. And I want to thank my panelists who was a part of the conversation last night. Dwayne Bryant, president of Intervision International Inc. Dwayne is a great guy. He actually was the sponsor last night of the discussion, and I really do appreciate him for doing that. Mr. Darnell Leatherwood, founder of Black Boys Shine, and he's an amazing guy as well, too. A young guy doing some dynamic things, really engrossed in our community. As you heard him say last night on the show, the night of the looting and rioting, he actually went to make sure, if any of our kids had been injured, help would get to them, to make sure the police weren't treating them a certain way. The chaos and pandemonium had already happened. It's the aftermath that people really do need that care, and that what has happened here, and just making sure everything stays what it needs to be, and continue to fight that good fight on our behalf. Also, we had Mr. Early Walker, businessman, community leader, and philanthropist. Early is Chicago's secret angel. He has done some amazing things here in the city of Chicago, and I'm extremely proud of him and all of his efforts. And then last but not least was Mr. Kevin Ross, CEO and brand manager of Two Guard Media. And as he said, he was raised in California, in a city that is known as the most biking city in the world. And at the age of 15, police started messing with him. And he's a gentleman in his mid-50s now. And I even shared a few of my stories as well, too. So thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys so much. I am planning on putting together a round table of African-American women of different backgrounds to sit down and talk about the plight of the Black woman as well, too. And I'd be curious to see how that all pans out once we have that particular conversation. All right, I want to continue on the top news story of the day. Mr. George Floyd. 10 days ago is when you learned about the name George Floyd. Well, today in death, Mr. Floyd has become a symbol of police brutality. I almost couldn't get that out there, but I did. He has become a symbol of police brutality all over the world. In what is now the first day of a 6-day homegoing celebration, today political leaders, celebrities, family members, and friends gathered for a memorial that would be followed by other memorials and events from Mr. Floyd's memory in North Carolina and in Texas, places where he was born and places where he grew up. And today his services was in the place where he lost his life. In the sanctuary today, the who's who was there. Reverend Al Sharpton did an amazing eulogy, you guys. He really did. The eulogy was it left me speechless, but it also left me thinking about a lot of things that are yet still a deficiency. And I want to quote Reverend Al Sharpton, if I could. The reason we could never be who we want to be and dream of being is you kept your knee on our neck. You understand what the man said today? Let me read it one more time. The reason we could never be who we want to be and dream of being is you kept your knee on our neck. And I agree 100% with Reverend Al Sharpton. I absolutely do. The service today took place at the North Central University. The president of the university, the Reverend Scott Hagan, announced the creation of the George Floyd Memorial Scholarship, adding that since Mr. Floyd's death, people have given over $53,000 for the bequeath of young Black people for continuing their education. So again, we take our hat off to Mr. George Floyd. Unfortunately, brother, we are so hurt that you lost your life and that we had to witness you losing your life. But your life, your living will not be in vain, brother. You have caused a movement that is making people all over the world pay attention to what has happened to you. As I was out shopping today, I masked up. You know, people of other races were smiling and speaking to me and nodding their heads and asking me, was I okay the entire time I was out shopping today, almost as if I had just been on television somewhere, like they recognized me. But it was beautiful to know that people were kind and pleasant and that type of thing. And I think that's what we all want all the time, is for people to just be kind and pleasant. All right, let's bring our co-host back in. Let's see if Miss Dallas, if she got it together. Oh, I need to add her back in here. Let's check on her. Darling, are you back?
Is that better?
Can you hear me?
I'm trying. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Can
good.
you
We can't hear you. Can you? Huh? We can hear you, but we need you a little louder.
A little bit louder? Is that any better?
Yes, if we could. Much better.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try.
All right. So I've done the top news stories of the day. That's all right, darling. Look, we have so many glitches in this new digital age. And I tell people, the morning show have the same problems. The nightly news have the same problem. Don't y'all be trying to discount my fabulous little evening show. Please don't discount my fabulous little evening show. So, Eden Adele, tell people a little bit about your background and how you got started as a relationship person.
I started out as a blogger. I was just blogging really as sort of an electronic diary because of what I was going through personally. And I didn't really know anything about blogging back then. That was 10 years ago. It was actually over 10 years ago now. So, blogging was a lot different than it is now. And social media wasn't a thing. And I was just sort of venting. But what I didn't realize was that my website was being crawled so people could actually see what I was writing. And I was starting to get responses to what I was writing. And women literally from around the world were saying to me, oh my gosh, I know just how you feel. I'm going through something really similar to that. Can you talk about this some more? Because you said it. I didn't have the words, but you said it, and I needed that. And so that was how it started, literally from that. More people started to respond, and I just started pouring my heart out. So then I discovered social media, and Facebook was my first account, and that made it more personal because of the way that Facebook is set up. You can see people's profiles and what their interests are and what they respond to and all that good stuff. So, and then I got to use pictures, videos, and all those fabulous things, and I just started incorporating them. So somewhere along the line, somebody suggested that I write a book, so I did that. And then somebody suggested that I do a radio show like somebody else I know. So I had an online radio show for a while too. And podcasting is in the future for me again, thankfully. I'm looking forward to that. And that was really how it all started, was woman to woman, comment to comment. And then I started being shared. And from there, I ended up here. And then I got to meet fabulous people like you and other people who have hosted me on their platforms so graciously. I have been so blessed in that regard. People have just been amazing to me, inviting me on repeatedly. I am just so grateful. I had no idea anybody was listening to me. And by the time I figured it out, I knew you.
I love you. I do, Eden. You've always been such a beautiful spirit. I like how you believe in love. We live in a time now where people don't believe in love. The divorce rate is extremely high. The rate of people not wanting to commit and be close to each other. This pandemic for a lot of single people, this pandemic really should have been or should be a wake-up call. It really, you know, do you want somebody to be by your side? What if something was to happen? Who would take care of you? Who would really be in your corner and be there and love you and all of that? And so, you know, people really need to think about that. You know, last night I had the panel of Black men and we were talking about the problem. Did you enjoy last night?
That was an awesome show. Awesome show. I was so happy to see you do that show. It's just a necessary conversation and it's just not going anywhere. And it's just so rare. It's still rare. Like here we are in 2020 talking about how rare it is for Black men in particular to get together to discuss these issues among each other, for each other, even if they do it like you did it last night as a broadcast to the public. But it's still so much more rare for men to do that than it is for women to do that. And men need it as much, if not more, than women do. But it's just the way that we're conditioned and the way our society is set up. Men just aren't encouraged to talk. All they're encouraged to do is fight or have sex. Those are like the only two things that they get to do. They get to fight, they get to have sports, and they can have sex. And that's pretty much all they can do freely. They have to go to all these extra steps and extra measures to actually just talk to each other, which is insane to me with all this technology that's supposed to help us talk, that it's still so unusual for men to do it. So I was really, really happy to see you put that panel together and to see the way the fellas showed up. They were so open and giving and willing to talk. That's another whole issue by itself. They were actually willing to talk. You didn't have to chicken wing nobody.
No. The one thing that I'll say that any particular Black man that I'm friends with or that we are cool and on, you know, talking basis and all of that, they are always very amenable to me because first of all, I'm not trying to put anybody in a spot or a trick or anything like that. You know, I have said for a long time that Black men are the most fascinating men ever. And that most people don't have a clear understanding on the dichotomy of the Black man and how versatile and you know, people just, you know, it's sad, you know, people put a lot of stereotypes on Black men that are unnecessary. And so, no, most of the men that I know, if I say, hey, brother, I need you to talk about something, they will talk about it and have no issues about it. And that's the same way with a lot of my friendships with a lot of these guys. These really are my brothers. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that was something I had to build. My lifestyle being different, me being different, all of that. I had to build solid friendships with these men. Yeah.
Yes, but it's so important. It's so important. And people overlook the importance of that all the time for Black men to have friends because Black women do it all the time. But Black men just aren't encouraged to really be friends. They can shoot ball together. You know, they can go to war together. They can go to work together. But to actually have a real friend that they know they can count on when all the chips are down, or even when things are really good, if they just want a sounding board that looks like them, you know, it shouldn't have to be such a hardship for them to do that. But for a lot of them, it is. For a lot of them, it is. So I'm glad, definitely. I'm looking forward to more. I hope you do more conversations like that because that one was really good. I enjoyed it.
Oh, well, thank you, Eden. And that really brings up a question. You know, our guest that we have coming on tonight, we're going to have a great time with him. Leon R. Walker is an amazing gentleman. He has a background that would just blow your mind. And tomorrow on Instagram, he's my lunch guest tomorrow, and he's going to share more of his backstory. But tonight, Leon is going to talk to us about you know, why women love bad boys, why women desire them. I couldn't think of a better person to make my co-host tonight. Let me explain something to you. Leon is a tough dude. He's a tough dude, but what I like about him, he's one of the kindest and funniest people that I've ever met. And so tonight, we're going to talk to him. We're going to break it down. You and me, we gonna
All
run it.
right.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna run it, and I'm excited to have you on. I really am.
Let's do
Listen,
it.
Eve,
Let's
as
do it.
a Black woman in
Yes.
today's society, when I
Mhm.
put this panel of women together,
Mhm.
what would you think are some of the needs that Black women, not women, but Black women need to have met now more than ever? And I'm not talking about sex. I'm not talking about a big diamond ring. I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about what is it that the Black woman most desires now in this day and age?
Oh, I think I got this one. Emotional safety. If I just had to break it down to two words, it would be emotional safety. Because so much of what we do on a day-to-day basis is putting out fires, is responding to chaos, is responding to urgency. So little of our lives is actually scheduled or expected, especially now, since the whole pandemic thing started. Everything still feels really up in the air, and there are very few things that we can depend on. And especially as Black women, we've been conditioned as a society to believe that Black women really don't need reinforcement. They don't need protection. They don't need provision, that they don't need that measure of safety that's so easily afforded to women of other races. And I'm here to tell you that that is just not the case, that it is precisely because there is so much that we do that we're expected to do, that we do even when we're not expected to do it, that emotional safety for us is
Mm-hmm.
huge, huge,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of us don't even have it in our families. So when we go into relationships, if we can actually get with a partner who is an emotional safe place for us, and it really doesn't take a whole lot to be emotionally safe. We just want to know, one, that you hear us and that you take us seriously, and two, that you'll protect us.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what we want to know, that we can count on that, that we can count on you not to be an enemy as well, because
Yeah.
we're already fighting a battle on an extra front that men don't have to fight, because Black women still have to fight the sexism battle. Men
Mm-hmm.
don't have to fight the sexism battle. That's not your fight. Your fight is the racism battle. We have to fight racism and sexism. And so when
Wow.
we get with you, we want to know that you are one of the places, because we don't have a lot. You are one of the places where we can we can be safe enough to tell you the truth, that we can love you openly, and that you'll return that love to us
Mm-hmm.
and not use
Mm-hmm.
it against us. That's what we want to know above everything. Because
Let me
I
ask you
think
this,
you think, yes.
Eden. What do you think is the greatest breakdown in our relationships, in Black relationships? What do you think it was the drug epidemic? Do you think it was, the Black man was no longer the head of the household? Do you think do you think media, there were a lot of books and movies and girl, I don't need no man. I don't want no man. I'm gonna put all this stuff out on the sidewalk and burn it up. Do you think that was the turning point of why Black men was like, you know what? I'm good. I'll do whatever I want to do. Where Black men really used to be the most obedient men in relationships.
I think what I really think happened was when we were at that point in our history where we had that first wave, generationally speaking, of teenage parents, when that was no longer an issue. That was when making families became a lot less important than making babies. And when we made that shift, our relationships fell apart exponentially because
Mhm.
the focus was no longer on making families. And there were a lot of things that went into that. Everything that you named, the drug epidemic, what happened in the economy, especially with factory jobs. Factory jobs were the salvation for Black people for decades because it enabled somebody with a high school education to make a living that was substantial enough that he could take care of his family and he
Right.
could
Because
send his
eating,
children to college and he could
right.
provide and he could put a roof over their heads and all of those things. So when those disappeared, that was a major blow to us. And then we had the whole mass incarceration thing. This there is no one answer, and there never will be because it's always been systemic. Everything about Black people's relationships is systemic. Everything about our relationships is political. Everything we do is a political statement. One of the most revolutionary things we've ever done is chosen to love each other anyway. We were finding ways to do that in slavery. When we couldn't even
Mm,
legally be married to each other, we created ways to bond and to build and to create families, even when we knew we could be sold away from each other at any moment and never see each other again. Even when we knew we could be killed for anything, we knew it and we still made ways to love each other. It was one of
I
the
love
most revolutionary things we ever did. And today is no different.
it.
It is
Mm,
no different. The only difference is the absence of the chains. That's the only difference. It is still
wow.
one of the most revolutionary things that we can do because literally everything in this society is programmed against that. So for you to do it anyway, particularly when you put it in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit to do it well, it is the most revolutionary thing you can do because the family is the building block of any community, and any community is a building block for the world. If the family can be healed, the world can be healed.
Mm, I love it. I do. Sister, I do. You made a very valid point and a great statement. And you know, I would hate to think that our relationships have suffered for so long. Eden, you brought up so many things, it had my mind spinning because you've got to realize a lot of us came from parents, as you said, that may have finished high school, that may have been considered illiterate or not as smart as most of us. We are the demographic that ended up traveling the world, getting higher education, better jobs, things like that. And we've got to realize that we forgot where we've come from. Our parents got together because relationship and marriage was economically feasible and you needed a helpmate and all of that. We so damn independent that we like, do what you want to do, boo. I'm moving on, you know? And I think that has put a huge wedge in our relationships overall.
It had we only think we're independent though, because if this pandemic hasn't shown us anything else, it has brought us face to face with just
Reality,
how
baby.
much we want each other and need each other and miss each other. And
Mm-hmm.
here's the real rub. A lot of us are missing the person that we laying next to.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother show,
That's a
boo.
whole nother
That's
show.
a whole nother.
That's a
We'll
whole
have to
nother
have you
show.
back, and I'll need 3 bottles of wine for that show. Let's bring in our next guest. Just want to remind everyone you're tuned in to the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show, coming to you live on the Real Chat Daddy Show page, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. I'm here Monday through Thursday night from 7 until 8:30 p.m. It's a reality show. It's a news show, entertainment. entertainment. I try to bring you some of the best guests ever. If nothing else, I bring y'all some of the finest guests ever. Our co-host tonight is our very own Southern Belle, Miss Eden Adele. She's a passionator. She is the creator of the Get Back to Passion Institute, which is all about love and making sure that people are loving each other the right way. Well, our special guest is here with us this evening. He's a gentleman that we got to meet each other probably about a year or so ago. And ever since then, I really do consider him a friend. I admire him. He's an influencer. He is the author of the book based on his life story entitled Broken. And he's not going to share all that story with you guys tonight, because don't forget, he's my Instagram virtual lunch date tomorrow. And we're going to talk about where he comes from, what feeds his soul, what inspires him, and the transformation of his life. But tonight, he's here to talk to us about why women go after bad boys. Why Eden? Why you look? You're grinning, Eden. You're teasing, and you ain't even seen the man. You were looking at the man's picture. You were looking at the man's picture earlier. Don't
see
be
it yet. I didn't see it.
Oh,
yet.
you ain't
so
seen
this
it?
is a surprise for me.
Oh well, yeah. He gonna knock you out now. So get ready.
Right.
And he's a beautiful person. He really is.
Okay.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Real Chat Daddy Show. Our good friend, Brother Leon Walker. Hello, brother. How are you?
Dad, Eden, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Can y'all see me? We good?
Oh, we wonderful. Great job. Excellent job. Glad to see you. Leon, do me a favor. Just give everybody a brief synopsis of who you are. I told them you are my special virtual lunch date tomorrow, and we're going to really get into your life tomorrow. But let's talk about your background story so my audience can get to know you.
Okay. Hi, Eden. How you doing? I retired from the Navy in 2015. I served 32 years. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I have 3 children, two sons and a daughter. I have 4 godchildren. I'm divorced. I've been divorced for a long time. Been all over the world, led a lot of people, writing a few books, enjoying myself, loving life. I love writing now. I love running. I love eating great food. I love conversation, and I love learning. So that's who I am. I'm 54 years old. I'll be 55 years old this year. I like to run, like I said, marathons and things like that. But that's me in a nutshell, Art and Eden.
It is.
Right.
And the one thing about him is he's very honest and open. I told him, I said, I need to be your manager. He's a gold mine waiting to happen, because here's the deal, Eden. He tells it like it is, and it's really sharing the male code, but it's so genuine that it is something that people really need to hear. They really do. And with you being in the relationship business, Eden, I just
more,
thought,
please. More, please.
I know. I thought this would be an excellent combination. I really did. Eden, do you want to start off with questioning Leon about some things? And look, once you get him started, he don't stop. So here we go. Yeah, he don't stop. He don't stop. All right, go ahead, Eden.
You know what? Yes. Since there is this fascination, if you had one thing that you would like to that you would like women to be on the lookout for, be aware of when they're trying to decide if somebody is actually worth the effort of making a relationship, or is this just a right now kind of thing? What do you think they should be looking for?
So, Eden, what they should be looking for, well, actually, what they should be listening for and talking about is the man's past. Now, I told Art before we have a lot of conversations, but a lot of problems, women are intrigued by man. They get excited. The attraction is there initially, whether he's their height, their weight, he's got muscles, big hands, nice back, shoulders, whatever the case may be. He can dress. They like a beard. But I tell you this, I dated and I've slept with a lot of women. I'm not proud of that, but let's say 500 women, right? I'm gonna throw a number out there, 500 women. And not one time has any woman ever asked me about my past. I'm talking about going back. For me, you would have to go back to when I was 5 years old. That's when I was first molested. And then my babysitter, and Art knows the story, and then I had a male member that was touching me. But that if you don't go back to my past, you're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be surprised when my past comes to my present, because I never got any help or therapy until I was 50 years old. So all the things that happened to me as a child, I carried them forward. I carried my anger issues forward. I carried my addictions forward. And I hid all those things. And I also talk about this thing called the irresistible minimum. We'll get into that too. But a woman needs to talk to a man. You get to meet him. You need to know about his past. It's not about college, the type of car he has, the house. Those things will suck you in, and you'll be blinded. You'll be tricked. You'll be hoodwinked. But you need to know about his past, because my past is what ruined all of my relationships. You can only have it for so long.
Right. I totally agree.
Well, you know what? I agree with him as well, too, because I think a lot of people's past is what, you know, really is a huge deterrent in this day and age. You know, no secret, I prefer to date younger than myself, but a lot of what I've met, the backstory has been something that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't have a backstory like that. I can't even relate to a backstory like that. And I think that a lot of the people are really nice people, but I think that that backstory is what really stunts the growth of a lot of relationships. And that's why every time I've talked to Leon, I said, you know what, brother, that backstory is really what it is. And I think, you know, we want to share our backstories with people, but then I also think we're afraid to share our backstories with people. What you think, Eden?
I think you're right that people are afraid to do it. But here's what I know for sure is that people who have actually gone forward to make healthy relationships, they didn't stop being scared. You know, I think a lot of people are waiting for this magical moment when they stop being afraid.
Right.
And that just doesn't happen. They just chose to do what it took anyway. You know, it is, you still have to be honest. If you're going to have a loving, honest, open relationship with somebody, you still have to be able to tell the truth. And the first place you have to tell the truth is to yourself about yourself. And I really believe that's what I'm hearing from Leon, is that he's already done that. He's accepted his past for what it is. He's not trying to rewrite it and paint it into something that it's not. And he also owns the story that he tells himself about his past. He doesn't tell himself about his past in a way that diminishes him as a man in his own eyes. So when he's with another woman, he's not looking for her validation. He came with that. So he's just trying to share whatever it is he wants to share with her. And he's clear on it. So a lot of men just aren't clear on what they want because they're busy chasing urges and sensations. They're driven by their appetite. They like what they see and they're used to going after it. And we're in a society that encourages them to do that. So unless something internal says to them, you know what, I need to change what I'm doing because I'm really not getting what I want out of this. You know, I'm laying next to all these women, but I still don't feel any better about myself. Until that moment happens, they just keep doing what they've been doing because they've been doing it.
Interesting. Well, now, Leon, that brings my next question kind of to you. When you got married, did you feel as if you let your wife, because how many times you've been married once, right?
Yeah, once.
Okay. Did you ever at any time when you got married, you know, let her know how you were feeling and the things you had been through? Because to me, if you marry somebody, it's to me like you need to reveal your entire self to them. Did that ever happen at any point in the marriage?
Not at all. So what happened was, I call this presenting my past. I did present my past. So my addiction to women that were like me, because I feel comfortable when we can smoke, drink, argue, and have sex. I was good with that. I didn't feel comfortable with talking about the real.
Wait a minute, Leon. Hold on. What, Leon? What's that rule? That checklist again?
The irresistible minimum.
Smoke, drink, and have sex, right?
Oh yeah, smoke, drink, sex, and argue. Yeah, I was all about that.
Okay, and I don't do the argue. I digress. Continue your story.
So I never talked about my past because so what happened was I was with the lady and a friend of mine, he always looked out for me. He said, man, I'm tired of you dealing with these ghetto women. You need a real woman. I was like, nah, I don't want one. He said, yes, you do. I said, okay. So I met her. but I wasn't groomed to be a groom. And no disrespect to the men that were in my life, you know, the leaders that I had in my life, men have to be groomed to be a groom. I wasn't groomed to be a groom. I was like, you know what? Let me try something different. I want a different woman. I want a different type, because I was always dating, for whatever reason, women that had kids. They didn't have to have a degree. For me, my thing was, the reason why I was with certain women is because I didn't have standards. They may have had standards, but I didn't have standards. So I was accepting anything because I based all my relationships on the physical aspects of a relationship. It was sex based only. So it wasn't about integrity. It wasn't about character. It wasn't about what I could offer her, what she could offer me. It was like, okay, if she's got a nice body, nice lips, a nice smile, you know, top heavy or medium sized or a nice buttocks, I'm good, because I didn't fix my past, because I was still a little boy in a grown man's body, because the addictions I had as a child, what I saw as a child is what I saw in these women, and what I saw in those women is what I wanted out of those women. What I saw in the movies, the porn I was watching, that's what I wanted. I wanted to emulate all of those women, and I did that. So I had no standards. So my thing moving forward, I went into my marriage not being groomed to be a groom. Not necessarily, you can be groomed to be a groom before you get married. You have to, you need that. But I wasn't groomed for that. I wasn't mature enough to be married. My wife at the time was more mature than I was. She had the greatest morals that I could possibly have in my life, but I wasn't about that. I was transitioning from, because my friend said I needed to, and I tried. I didn't put any work or effort into transitioning. I just went to it. Okay, let me get engaged. Let me get married. And then so I cheated because I wasn't ready. I wasn't groomed to be a groom. So it never came out. Once I cheated, the fact of me explaining myself to her and talking about my past, it was over. It's too late, because my past was already my present. So it had reared its ugly head.
Eaton. See, that's why he's incredible. That's why this man is incredible. I told you I was going to get a man that, you know, but how are you taking this in as a woman? I know this is the line of working which you're in. I know you're here to help people with their relationship issues, but as a Black woman, you know, beautiful, single, doing the damn thing, how are you taking in what he just said?
It is such a relief. I'm just saying. Personally, it is just such a relief to hear a man talk so openly and so honestly about himself, about everything that would be important in choosing a relationship, everything that would actually be important, because a lot of the stuff that people focus on isn't the stuff that's important. It's not the stuff that actually makes a relationship work. That's because they're chasing urges and appetites again. And especially what he said about the porn thing was so major, because most men, particularly in America, learn sex from porn. So they have that expectation that whatever they saw on the screen is what they're supposed to be duplicating in their real life. Never mind, porn is a fantasy, and the whole thing is created and contrived to look the way it looks. And that's not what's actually happening with real people, including the actors and actresses. Because a lot of them have been interviewed about that, and they're really open about the fact that their real life sex life doesn't look like what they do on screen. So this isn't about reality, it's about belief. And because men are conditioned from such an early age, I mean, men start watching porn out, what, 10 years old? If
7.
not younger? Well, there you go.
What?
And
7 years old, Leon? Are you kidding me?
I absolutely believe it. I absolutely believe it. Right when they are so impressionable, between 0 and 7, they're just sponges. That's what children do. They accept everything that happens to them as truth, as yes, as this is the way it's supposed to be. That script gets written before you even have the consciousness to be able to say, you know, that's going to work for me. That really won't work for me. All of that happens before you even have the wherewithal to make that distinction. So everything that's written on your original blueprint is yes. There's no anything else. It's all yes. And unless something happens after that to rewrite that blueprint, you will continue to live that
That's
blueprint
right.
for the rest
Wow.
of your life.
She's right.
Something or someone has to interrupt that pattern and show you something else, and you have to be able to make it make sense to you enough to be able to do the work that it takes to make that your new normal, because you'll never undo what's already been done. It's not about undoing it. It's about doing something else and doing it more and more and more till it gets to the point where it becomes normal for you. And in between, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be clumsy. It may even be painful. Very often it is painful. But if you stick with it, on the other side of it, you can actually have the kind of relationship that will sustain you, that you can be happy with someone that you can respect, and you can be someone that you can respect in the process. You don't have to sacrifice your own self-respect on the altar of somebody else's expectations of you. You can be yourself honestly and fully and completely and share your heart and your life with someone else. Exhibit A, Leon Walker. Like, it can be done. You don't need an extra limb. You don't need a superpower. You just need the willingness to push past the fear and the uncomfortable and all that other stuff that people throw up as an excuse not to do the work.
Right.
He did it.
Okay. So earlier this week, we were talking on this show about Black people being overly sexualized, and that, you know, that has been really our mantra for a long time. We are desired. People want us. The Black man thing, the Black woman. We have always been taboo to other people, but they have always desired us. And so, do you both feel as if we are overly sexualized? And then, how do you think we got to that level of being overly sexualized? I'm gonna bring you in, Leon, to start that conversation.
Well, the reason why we've been overly sexualized, because you said sexualized, right?
Yes.
It's because we have been made a couple of things. We have been made curious to people, and we have been based on the curiosity, we become a commodity. And then being curious and then becoming a commodity, and then experiencing the curiosity and a commodity, they stop. Then they start to see that, oh wow, it's true, or you're different. Your color is different. Your skin feels different. Your body's warm. So these are things that a lot of people haven't experienced, or they've experienced within their own race, and they want something different. But a lot of times, let's just say white women are told that we are drug dealers, we are hustlers, we are pimps. And when they start dating a Black guy, they find out that, wow, he's not a drug dealer, hustler, or pimp. My parents lied to me. My parents deceived me. Now the transition from them going from being with white guys and Asian guys now goes to Black guys, because she has a different experience. Sometimes they like to touch our hair. They like our full lips. They like, our masculinity. They like our natural muscles. They like a lot of things that they've been told about. They've read about. They've seen pictures. And now when you're sneaking and doing it, and then when girls become, I'm saying specifically white women, when they become of age to try it out on their own, they do so. And so then they have, no, don't get me wrong, sometimes they have a bad experience. But people also have a bad experience with drugs, and they go back and do it again and again, because now they're chasing a natural a high. When you get with a Black man that you've never been with, when I'm not saying, the same thing that happened with an Asian guy, a white guy, whatever, a Black woman, a white guy, but we talk about Black here. But when you finally get with one and it's a good experience, or it's a different experience, it makes your body feel different. It makes your mind think. You think in different directions now. You are now into a realm of your own life or lifestyle that, wow, this is my little secret. My parents told me different, but it's the total opposite of what my parents said. Now she may go on, speaking of a white woman, she may go on to try another Black guy and try to find a different experience. But all at the same time, she's having fun with it.
My Lord, my Lord, my Lord, Eaton. Us and being overly sexualized and the desire and we've all been there. I've been there. Leon's been there. Eaton, have you been there and in that situation? I'm sure you have, because you are that Black woman. So what do you think?
Absolutely. It is part and parcel of what it is to be an American. Like, seriously. Um, a lot of what the porn industry is built on is sexualizing Black people. So they build this mystique around us because they're drawn to us. They like what they see, and they have this love-hate relationship with it. As they're torn between, I'm supposed to be better than you, and but I can't resist you. So a lot of that is born out of the mystique, what we're raised believing about something that we've never, someone that we really don't have any close relationships with. A lot of these people who are so fascinated with crossing the color line, part of that is because they don't really have any close relationships of anybody from that other color line. They don't have real relationships, so all they have are these fantasy ideas, and they're trying to live their fantasies out. And some of them get it, some of them don't, but they keep trying because
Mm-hmm.
if they believe that there is something there that's going to benefit them, usually bring them some kind of pleasure, then that's what they're going after, and that's what they keep
Mm-hmm.
going after. That
Mm-hmm.
humans are built for that. We seek pleasure, we avoid pain. Those are the two things we do. What That's our motivation for doing everything we do. We are either seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. And if they can stick it to their parents who are getting on their nerves and at the same time experience sex that they've never known before, as a built-in addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take much to get addiction from that, because the dopamine blast and the anatomy of it, plus the socialization of it, plus just the physical feeling of it. And once you put all that together, you got a mess on your hands. But that's why it keeps happening. That's exactly why it keeps happening. And
And
that's why it's not going anywhere.
it
Wow.
becomes an accomplishment too.
Yeah.
It becomes, Leon,
It becomes
it becomes a competition.
yeah, they accomplish something
Right,
based
right.
on what somebody told them they could never do. Whether it's their parents, their girlfriend, aunts, uncles, you'll never get a Black man. They don't like white women. Black men don't like thin white women, or white guys only like thin white women, and Black guys will like thick white women, and they'll never see you. You never see them. But then it happens, and she'll say, "Told you so." And then it's a confidence booster. It's a self-esteem booster for white women that were told that they could never get a Black guy.
Interesting. I don't know. I just think the whole relationship thing is something that many people don't really understand. There's a whole lot of angles to the relationship game. The one thing that you were kind of bringing up that I thought was interesting was the entire porn thing. Here's some facts that a lot of people don't realize. In this day and age in which we live in now, porn is you can get it on your phone, you can download it on your computer. But when you would have to go out and buy porn back in the day, Black pornography was more expensive than any other race of pornography, any other type of pornography. Where a regular movie might cost you $20, a Black movie would cost you $30, $35, $40 for that movie. And that just goes to show you we have even been a commodity in our sex life. Leon, you've traveled the world and know how that works.
Yeah, I have. And it's true. I mean, everywhere you go, it's like women are curious about Black men. There's major porn overseas, and once you get something different like Black men in porn or Black women in porn, people are really become addicted to it. Like Eden was saying, that addiction. We like what we see, what we want, and if you're overseas where there's not many Black people, and you get a movie or a magazine that you can see a Black person, and then you can fantasize and visualize whatever you want with that Black person, you and that Black man or you and that Black woman, people get addicted to just that. And then that sets their soul and their spirit up for the next time they get around a black person. Now they want their dream to come true and they go for it.
Interesting. You know, I was telling my best friend today when we were out shopping, and with all of the accolades and folks hollering at me and speaking and stuff today, I said to her, I said, you know, I hate to say this. I said, but with everything that's going on right now, and once people get out and start dating again, watch me end up meeting somebody from another race. I said that too plays a huge part in trying to heal our country as well too. You know what I'm saying? Because anytime we as a race of people suffer something, there are those that really do want to love us and be with us and be a part of our movement, that somehow we end up gravitating together. And that happened to me 10 years ago when the economy crashed. You get what I'm saying? And just being somebody that was there and losing things, trying to get back where I was. And so I said today when we were out, I said, oh boy, I bet you somebody of another race gonna holler at me now. I said, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just interesting. Eden, where are you at with all of this right now?
Well, I would caution you and anyone else really to be careful about relationships that get made during this time, just because the human nature has a tendency to behave one way in a crisis and go back to what they were normally doing after they're not afraid anymore. So the way people are presenting themselves now could be a best behavior sort of scenario. They can be showing you their representative, because now the fear is heightened. Now the anxiety is at a fever pitch. Now we're all going through something that none of us have been through before, not even as a country. We haven't done this for 100 years. So we're all making it up as we go along. So a lot of what we see now is just people being afraid, and decisions made out of that kind of fear may come back to bite later once they're not afraid anymore. So the important thing is to see what is consistent about a person over time. That's what you're going to be in a relationship with. Not who they are in a crisis, but who they are after the crisis when they are no longer afraid. The flip side of that is this crisis has also brought to a lot of people's attention a need to do their life and their relationships differently. In which case, what they're showing you now is what they have every intention of carrying forward once the crisis has passed. So, conversation and communication is going to be critical so that you can actually discern the difference. And again, time always tells. Consistency will let you know. When people start wavering in how they are with you, it could be because they're seeing you differently as a result of it's passing now. I'm not so afraid now. Life doesn't seem so scary now, so I want something else. Or I was really scared back then, and I don't want to be that scared that way again. So I need to get this right so I can actually be with somebody who matters to me when this happens again, because it is going to happen again. It won't look exactly the way it looks now, but it is going to happen again. We're going to have another wave of this, and there'll be more chaos and crazy. So there are people preparing for that as well. The important thing is just to keep your discernment sharp and don't be swayed too much by the dopamine bath that your brain will be taking when you meet somebody new, and the butterflies and all of that we associate with being attracted to other people.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. Before I come back to you, Leon, and we're going to get your take on it, because, you know, for men, when something like this happen and the weather, you come busting out and I'm Leon on the scene, you the cleanup man. You know what I'm saying? You can go wherever you want to go after this. So give me just a minute. For those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. You can watch this show via Facebook or YouTube. Go to the Real Chat Daddy Show. If you want to watch an encore performance, they're there on both pages. I'm asking that you guys please like and follow the pages, as well as share the shows and start a watch party each and every Monday through Thursday night from 7 until 8:30 p.m. I bring you real conversation, real people. This is not scripted. This is a reality news entertainment show. But these are people who are willing to tell you like it is a lot of the problems and situations that we're faced with in our country right now. We're trying to help you to understand the dichotomy of who we are, where we are from, and where we would like to be, and how we can all have a kumbaya moment together. We want to extend our deepest condolences to the George Floyd family. Today started the first of a 6-day celebration of the life of George Floyd. They will be traveling to North Carolina as well as Texas to eulogize this young man who passed away 10 days ago. We learned of the name George Floyd, and now he has become the global face of police brutality. And this entire show was created because of the pandemic, the downturn of the economy. I am keeping myself relevant and viable via a new digital media platform, the Real Chat Daddy Show. I appreciate you guys for all of your love and support. I really do. I've also started a new show on Instagram every day at lunch. It's called Soul Food, What Feeds Your Soul. June is National Soul Food Month. And my fifth guest tomorrow is our guest tonight, author Leon Walker. And Leon has really not shared his backstory with you guys really tonight, because he's here as our relationship expert, as well as our co-host Eaton Adele. But when he is on Instagram with me tomorrow, he and I are going to have an even more in-depth conversation about who he is, where he come from, and just he's such an amazing man. His spirit is just absolutely wonderful, and his honesty is what I like more than anything. Eaton Adele, have you enjoyed yourself so far as our co-host tonight?
It has been amazing, as I knew it would be. Thank you for inviting me. This has been a great show. I'm so glad you included me.
Oh, very good. And Leon, I'm going to come to you in just a second. I want to remind everyone, coming up on the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show, I have a very special guest co-host, Kay Renee Nathan, will be with us on Monday evening. And boy, she got a lot to talk about. You ought to love her, a businesswoman, humanitarian, just all around great woman. She'll be here. I think we're going to talk about CBD on Monday night and the healing properties of CBD. It's a lot of things we're going to cover. And then we're going to talk about insurance as it relates to all of the looting and rioting that has been going on. A lot of our cities, right here in the city of Chicago, places were destroyed and damaged. And a lot of you all were on the tip of, well, hell, they got insurance, shit, this ain't money, this ain't my money, all of that. Well, you'll be surprised. A lot of the smaller businesses that you broke into may or may not been insured, as well as their insurance may not be covering all the damage. So a lot of the places that you enjoyed in your neighborhood, they may not be back, boo-boo. That's all I'm saying. So make sure you guys tune in Monday night. We have an insurance expert on the show to talk about what happened with this. Brother Leon, I want to come back to you and chit chat with you for a little bit. As I said, Brother Leon, you know, I might be the hottest thing on the planet now. Somebody of another race might scoop me up. And as a brother, you know, Leon, you and I have traveled the world. No matter where we go, that black man is desired. Do you think that'll still be the thing after what happened recently with George Floyd?
Yeah, even more so, because I'm in Round Lake Beach, and I saw a lot of whites and blacks together with Black Lives Matter. But what's going to happen is they know that there's a shift now, and it's going to continue. They know that there has to be a change, and it has to start with the law first. and it has to start with Black people. So what's going to happen is the whites that are thinking about dating Blacks or curious about dating Blacks, they're not going to be afraid anymore, because now, I'm not saying it's going to be a total shift, but it's going to be a shift that's going to happen where equality and work, equality in college, equality in relationships, equality and all over the world is going to happen. And so now more people that are white that are thinking about dating or talking about or socializing with Blacks, they're going to be more comfortable doing it, because it's going to be open more so now, because the suppression is going to go away, because it's like they know, hey, we've been suppressing Blacks for so long, or the oppression has been for so long, for 400 years, and now another Black man has been killed by a white police officer. And a lot of white people are saying it just has to stop. So a lot of people are opening up about it, specifically white people, because they know for the longest, this is not just Chicago or Florida or Texas protesting. Every state has protested. They protested around the world. So now it's like anything that people have been curious about, wondering about, when we talk about Black men, let's say Black men, anything, if people have been curious about that for the longest, now it's not going to be any longer taboo. Like you mentioned earlier, taboo. No, not anymore. Now it's probably going to be one of the things to do to help heal this country, to help bring races together, to help people understand that Black people are not drugs. We're not just drug addicts or drug dealers or pimps or hustlers. We're good-natured, loving human beings. And I tell some of my white friends, ask me, they were like, what about this and what about that when you're talking about Blacks? I'm like, man, we're angry, we're upset at things, but we're not bad people. You can come around us, you'll be fine, you'll be okay. But a lot of them are afraid, and now they see I don't have to be afraid to be around Blacks. I don't have to be afraid to date Blacks. Yeah, people are going to be apprehensive. They're going to, like Eden said, it's who you are now. Who are you going to be after this virus? Make sure, keep your discernment sharp, but also make sure the person doesn't waver. So, people are going to be really educated. People want to know more about Blacks, even more so now. Why does this continue to happen to us? So yeah, it's going to open up a lot of people crossing the lines and the lines who were once blurred about racism, about dating outside of your race. It's going to open up wide open, I believe.
I agree with you 100%. I think there's going to be a huge change in a lot of different things. And, as I tell people, I'm open to change. I've always had to adapt and readjust. I guess the new word we use now is pivot. And I did. And I will continue to pivot. But I said that today. I said, oh, boy. I said, I don't know if somebody that looked like me is necessarily going to try to holler at me again, as much as I believe somebody of another race will probably holler at me quicker, because now people want clarity and they want to know, what can we do? How can we be better? And how can I love you more? And so we'll see. I'll keep y'all posted. Both of y'all will get a wedding invitation. That's all I'm going to say. So I want to talk to you, Leon, just a little bit more about women and this whole bad boy attraction. What makes a woman attracted to a bad boy? What is the, as the French would say, je ne sais quoi of a Black boy? What is that flavor? What's that vibe? Right,
Okay,
Eden? Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Je ne sais quoi.
So I don't think there's a such thing as, so it's kind of crazy. It's a unique situation. Bad boy. I wasn't ever considered a bad boy. I was considered a bad person, but there's no such thing as a good bad boy, right? So here's the thing, and I'm not excluding any women, but let's talk about an educated woman, a woman that has a job, a good credit score, a house and a car, right? Great morals. She was raised right. And so she's, as a little girl, she went to she went to Catholic schools, elementary, junior high school, and high school. She was sheltered. Her parents are still married. They've been married for 45, 50 years. She goes away to college. She goes to one of the most prestigious colleges in America, right? Then she gets a job, and now it's just her, but she's got her morals intact. So she's got all these nice to do things. She's got all these qualifications. She's got all the status. She's got these titles, but she feels a little lonely. All right. So women like that, when they meet a man like that, because they were raised that way, and no disrespect to men that are like that are just like the women that have, you know, morals and integrity and character and were raised the right way and their family's still intact. No disrespect to them, but when women meet men like that, they become a little bit bored in that relationship. So they see, say for instance, see a guy like me. Now there are bad boys with good traits and good habits, right? And that's what excites these women that are wholesome, that have been sheltered, that have their stuff together, but they just want that little edge. They want that excitement. They want a guy to take them there because they haven't been taken there since they were a little girl. They've been kept in the house. They've been kept away from the bad boy down the street. And for 30 years, she's been wondering, wow, I wonder what this guy would be like. She could be married to a doctor that's been going through 20 years of school, residency, college, and then now he has his degree in his own practice. She could be bored with a very wealthy doctor because they're spending a lot of time at work, less time at home, less time with the children, and less time with her. He comes home, he's tired, he's sleepy, but there she is laying in bed looking at the ceiling with her eyes wide open, thinking about another man that she hasn't touched yet, or he hasn't touched her, but she's curious and she's got fantasies, and so he's not giving her what she wants. She's got the house, she's got the car, they have the bank account, but she's starting to realize I still have some voice to fill. You know, I've never cheated on my boyfriend, I've never cheated on my fiance or my husband, but I see this guy next door. He's a plumber. You know, he's single. He has a muscle car. I want that. You know, women have these things with a marriage, right? A great man, but they realize that it's not that important. Her body hasn't been touched in a certain way. The communication is different. She hasn't had an orgasm because he's too tired to have sex with her. A lot of things. He's not kissing her right. She wants her face to be grabbed. She wants her hair to be pulled. So she's been raised to, you know, me and my friends, you call them nature girls, granola bars, because they're so pure and so innocent. But then when you touch them in a certain way, they melt. Or if you rub their shoulders, they melt. Or if you rub your hands through their hair, they melt. Or if you talk to them sternly, they like that because her husband is just like her, full of morals, and there's nothing wrong with that, full of character and full of integrity. But a woman, they say opposites attract, they do, but opposites also detract. But opposites, the attraction can be so strong that a woman that has her college degree, her job, her house and car, and a good credit score, she'll take a step down to be with a guy that's going to take her swinging on chandeliers, you know, kissing outside, having sex on the beach. She'll take that. She'll take that chance. She wants that edge. She wants to go there. And I'm not saying that men that have this stuff together can't do those things. They can. But a lot of men that have themselves together that still have morals have not been tested as far as street cred or as far as going above and beyond, just getting real close to the edge and doing something that makes both of them nervous. There are men just like women that don't want that experience. I've had that experience. I've lived that life. I've had great morals when I was a child. I have them now, but being a broken kid, I have to say that it helped me because I would delve off into like the porn and being promiscuous and things like that. So I'm not saying to do that. I'm not telling anybody to do that, but it gave me a lot of experience. And then I joined the Navy, which opened me up to a lot of the longest and the happiest and the funnest party I could ever be a part of, which it wore me down, you know, with the alcohol, the smoking and all that other stuff. But, you know, it was something that gave me a great experience. I became very worldly. And so women want a guy that can talk about things around the world. They want a guy that's very social. They sometimes want a guy that other women want, the other women will look at. They want this guy that's like, you know, he's spontaneous. Women love to be spontaneous. You know, some guys work so hard, work so long, and go to school for so long, they're not spontaneous anymore. Most of the time, they're tired. So that edgy, over the top, kind of testy bad guy will bring something out of a woman that hasn't had that ever in her life. Women always think about that. What if I married this guy? You know, what if I did this? What if I did that? And they may be with this guy for 30 minutes, but it'd be the hottest 30 minutes that they've ever had. And that's what makes them start to think, wow, I like that. I'll keep him around, you know, because I'm not getting any of this at home. My husband doesn't like toys in the bedroom. Well, this guy, he came over, he had a bag full of toys. He taught me about myself. That's another thing, a bad boy, excuse me, for me, I wasn't, bad guy. my thing was I studied a woman's body, and I wanted to know everything about her, not to please myself, but to hurt her and break her heart, because I didn't fix myself as a child. So I'm taking these thoughts into every relationship I was going into. You talking about the women that are educated, the women that parents are still married. I've experienced all of that. And so my thing was, I didn't just want to go to her with my titles and you know, my awards and talk all that basic stuff. Anybody can get that. Matter of fact, she has the same thing. I'm saying she is speaking generally. She has the title and, you know, the status, but she wants something different. And so I was able to do something different, have something different, and talk about different things, not just the basic things in life.
Leon, I like that. I really do. Eden, I was thinking to myself, I said, this man is on it. He is on it. I saw you shaking your head the whole time. Eden, what do you think of some of the things that Leon said, and how does that feel to you as a woman in this situation?
It's very true, especially the part about being sheltered and having all these rules and regulations that you grow up with. If you're one of those women who actually obeyed all those rules, then you haven't really had any exposure to the bad boy. You haven't had any real challenge to those morals. So you don't know how to navigate being in a relationship with somebody like that. So you're drawn to them because bad boys tend to be charismatic. They tend to be very confident, very sure of themselves. They like being in social environments. They're the magnet people. They're the people that everybody wants to be around. And they got a killer backstroke. So everything about that is appealing. And for a woman, a lot of the time, it's an ego stroke, an extra ego stroke to be with a man like that, because she thinks that she can love him into committing to her.
Never happened.
That if she just does it, she loves him long enough, well enough, kisses all his hurt away, then he's going to commit to her. That's what's going on in here, which is why she keeps putting up with the chaotic side. She keeps putting up with the hard side.
100%.
She keeps putting up with all these extra babies. She keeps putting up with putting money on his books. She keeps putting up with all of that stuff because she believes what so many celebrities have been telling them about, well, if you're the right woman, he'll change his ways, he'll put down his bad boy and all of that, and he'll become the man you want him to be. The truth is, he's already the man that you wanted. That's why you twisted yourself into a pretzel in order to accommodate everything that goes along with him.
Literally.
So in order to have that feeling that you get when you go out with him, that everybody wants to be with him. Oh my God, everybody is trying to look, I'm with him and here with me. Oh my goodness. And if I do this right, him gonna be mine. No. But that's what they keep telling themselves, and that becomes the addiction. That becomes the, I gotta keep it up. I'm just this far. I'm this close. I almost got him. I'm this close. And that's how they end up that way. So
Leon, what's your rebuttal to that? Because I know you want to respond to on that.
Eden is right. And what happens is two things happen, Art and Eden. Women are naturally nurturers, right? But when they meet the bad boy, they go from nurturing to nudity. Quick.
I believe that. I really do believe that. I am friends with women who, you know, any guy that they friends with, I can pretty much sum it up, you know, pretty much by looking at him, hanging out with him a couple of times. And then when the women ask me, I said, listen, this is what I think it is. But then, you know, I'm just your, you know, male friend, you know, that's different. But I'm telling you what your male friend, what your gay male friends see. I see this. I know what you know what I'm saying? And well, you know. And then when they get hurt, I have to be like, well, now, who was the one that told you that's what this was? You get what I'm saying? I told you that's what it was. But you're right, Leon. I just think that women, you know, a bad boy or a bad guy or a bad sugar daddy, whatever, they're just irresistible because of the image and the image they put out there. And they're able to get away with murder. And not that I'm saying, you know, that it's a bad thing, because I think a lot of these women would have never had the loving and the satisfaction satisfied if they had not connected with these bad boys. Right, Leon, or no?
No, that's right. The thing, right. So the thing is, regardless of what type of parents you have, and I thank God that people have great parenting, like Eden said, those rules and regulations, they get tired of following them, even in their job, even when they go to college. Say, for instance, she's a gynecologist. She's been following rules and regulations for 15 years. And then she gets, goes into residency, and then she gets her then internship, whatever, and then she gets her own practice. It's like, man, what else can I do? So they know they know they can go to college, they know they can work, right? They know they can have children. And it's like, well, what else can I do? Sometimes women have children and it was just because of sex, it wasn't because of lovemaking. So you got this bad boy that studied the body, that's been with a lot of women, that knows how a woman wants to feel, that knows how to make her feel that way, that knows how to take it to the next level. A lot of times, bad boy, they study women so much, it's like let's say me, right? Make sure the woman has an orgasm before he does. And that's mind blowing for a lot of women, because a lot of women get 3 minutes, maybe 17 minutes, but then she meets this guy that's in bed for her. That's the only time he's going to be for her is sexually. And the other time it's going to be because what she can do for him. So what we do is manipulate her mind based on what she tells her. That's why I tell women that I'm close to, don't talk about sex in the beginning with the man. Don't tell him that you're lacking, or your last boyfriend was small, or he didn't do this and do that, because those are the exact things we're going to do for you. And that's what's going to reel you in. You've been well conditioned in society to do great in school, to do great at home, to do great at work. But you haven't been conditioned to deal with somebody like me. When I come around, I was a complete monster, Art. I was a complete monster because, again, my childhood. So I said, you know what? I studied women not to love them, but to hurt them, because I was hurt specifically by women. So my thing was, I studied their bodies and their mind, and I wanted to change the circuitry of the way they thought, how they felt. I wanted to change the flow of their blood. Change the whole physiological makeup of a woman by having a conversation about her body. I wanted to know more about her body than she knew. And a lot of times I did, because I studied them. And so that was just to turn them out. It wasn't in a way to turn them out, to take their money. I never took money from women, but I took things that were more important to them, which was their heart and their soul. And the most, the most thing, the more respectful thing I took from them was their innocence and purity. And so it would probably been better for me to take money from a woman, because she can get that back. But the things that I did take was their innocence and their purity, and that was wrong.
Okay. Well, tomorrow at 12 noon, you guys will get a chance to meet Leon Walker one-on-one with me. I've started a new series on YouTube. It airs every day at 12 noon. It's supposed to be 12 to 12:30, but it's been going from 12 to 1 o'clock, plus YouTube. Not YouTube, Instagram Live only let you do an hour anyway. But Leon Walker is my very special guest tomorrow, and he will be sharing his backstory. He'll be sharing the makeup of a man. He's just really, you guys, one of the most fascinating men that I've ever met, that I just feel as if his story is a story that I've seen many times. I've talked to guys about it, but many guys have never had the courage to really share the story. And when a man wants to redeem himself, I think that's the saving grace in everything. I think that when you are able to be honest and human and show humility and want to share, it's beautiful. And so make sure you guys join us tomorrow at 12 noon on YouTube. It's a virtual lunch. So Leon, don't forget to bring your lunch tomorrow, even if it's an imaginary lunch. And we're going to find out what soul food feeds his soul, and who was the one that introduced him to soul food, but then also his life changed dramatically over the course of life, and we'll hear all of that. Boy, this has been a great show tonight. So many wonderful comments and feedback. Leon, of course, I always tell you, I'm going to bring you back Eden Adele, that's a given always as well too. Eden, I'm gonna let Leon close out and give his closing thoughts and give his contact information, and then you and I close the show out, and then that's a wrap. We've had a great time tonight. A lot of people out there, I get it. You opposites do attract. People do want something that's different than what they are used to, but we also want everybody to protect themselves, be safe. We're living in the midst of a goddamn global pandemic. I hate to say it like that. I ain't mean to cuss, but in order for you guys to understand where we are right now, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. In 140 cities in the United States as well as globally, busted windows, looting, rioting, all of that. And so we are now trying to adjust to our new life, our new normal. And so I want to just bring some peace and comfort with this show. Brother Leon, do me a favor. Give us your closing thoughts and then tell everybody how they can reach you. And then we'll talk with you again tomorrow on Instagram.
Okay, my closing thoughts are, and I told people this, we've been put in an adult timeout. Now we know how it feels when we put our children in timeout. But this timeout is meant for us to grow, to become better, to think, to love unconditionally, to be fair and honest with yourself and your family and friends, and think things through. Don't just jump to conclusion. You can reach me. I have a Google panel page. You can reach me, Leon R. Walker, YouTube, Leon R. Walker, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Everywhere is Leon R. Walker, but you Google me, everything comes up.
Very good. Brother Leon, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 12 noon on Instagram so that you and I can vibe yet again. And I really introduce these people to who you are and just the amazing things. Again, I tell people when you meet people in this day and age, everybody's going to have a backstory. Yeah. It's just how open and honest you are about the backstory and how much have you healed from the backstory is what's going to make a tremendous difference. Brother Leon, I appreciate you so much. God bless you. Thank you, my friend. You did a great job tonight. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 12 noon on Instagram.
Thanks for having me. I'll see you later. All right.
All right. Eden, do you want to say goodnight to Leon before we go?
It was great to meet you, Leon. I'm looking forward to more. Thanks for coming and making this show so happy and wonderful.
Thanks for bringing me in. Thanks for having me. It's great meeting you too, Adele. I enjoyed it.
Very good. Leon, good night. And we'll see you tomorrow, 12 noon on Instagram. Thank you, brother. All right. Wow. This was amazing. Eden, I told you he's a dynamic man. Didn't I tell you that?
Yeah. You told me.
Yep.
You told me. It exhale. Just big old exhale. It's just so refreshing to hear a man own who he is without apology and take responsibility for how he shows up in a relationship. It was just the conversation. It was just the conversation. He didn't have to morph into somebody that he wasn't. He didn't have to grow any extra parts. He didn't have to do any superhuman feats. All he did was tell the truth. And the rest just happened organically. And so much will. If we're just honest with ourselves about ourselves, it really clears up a whole lot of chaos. It really does.
Right. I agree. I don't care.
It eliminates it.
Right. I don't care if you male, female, same sex loving, whatever. Right. It's the honesty and it's the truth and it's the who I am. This is what I'm all about. Here's my good. Here's my bad. How do we move forward together? How do we move as one? I agree. I really do. I do. All right.
It really doesn't have to be complicated.
No, honey, it does not. It really does not. No, I agree with you. Eden, do me a favor, darling. Give us your closing thoughts from tonight's show, and then give us how we can reach and find you and all that good stuff.
You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and excuse me, on my website, getbacktopassion.com. All one word, getbacktopassion.com. And oh my gosh, be safe, be careful, be sane, be sensible. Take care of yourself. If you've never done it before, now would be a good time to start. Focus on yourself. Take care of yourself, not just your body, but take care of your heart. Take care of your spirit. Calm your mind, and we can get through this. We will get through this. We've been through worse, and we'll get through this. I love you. Thank you for having me again. And I'm looking forward to more groovy things to come. I really am.
Oh, honey, my pleasure. My pleasure. You were great. There are more things to come. There's many more. Look, as Grandma would say, much more conversation. But there'll be many more conversations, much more conversation. But there'll be many more conversations we'll have because we do believe in love. We do believe that people deserve loving relationships. And until we talk about it, till we turn blue in the face, we will always be able to talk about relationships. All right. Well, I love you, darling. Thank you so very much. And have a good night, a great weekend, and stay out of that 95-degree heat down there.
Woo! Child,
Oh
it
my
ain't
God. And it's still that at 8:30 at night.
Yes. Yes.
I love it. It's my favorite time of the year. So that's all I
Yes.
want. All right. Well, on behalf of my co-host tonight, the amazing Eaton Adele, the true passionator, relationship expert, book author, all-around great woman. She is the creator and founder of the Get Back to Passion Institute. Make sure you guys check her out and follow her. So don't forget, tomorrow at 12 noon on Instagram, I am Chat Daddy One on Instagram. Please make sure you join me for my wonderful lunch with our guest tonight, Leon R. Walker. Tomorrow afternoon, I should say. We'll talk about his life, his backstory. When I tell you guys, he's a great guy. Backstory is amazing. Just how he's able to move forward and do the things that he's able to do. We are truly blessed to have him share that story. Monday night, another special guest co-host, as well as we'll talk about the insurance aspect of George Floyd's death, untimely death, and how all the looting and rioting may not be covered by insurance. A lot of your businesses may not be coming back to the store, or shop in a profitable store, and a lot of theft. The store may not be, it may not already been pandemic. They go down for 2 months, and now, so everybody looted. And all that. We'll see, we'll find out. Well, wonderful. I love having this here. Even there, I'm not people real chat daddy show. Real chat daddy show on Facebook review. In my web site, real chat. Bless you guys. Wonderful. I love you all. Have a great weekend. Bye. Bye. Bye.